Welcome to the Beau Show, the home of faith, family, and freedom. As I've explained, faith, family, and freedom are essential in a functioning democracy. Because once those three bedrocks begin to dissolve, so does the republic. I want to frame these three things with a lens on the National Hockey League, as most teams are participating in a designated Gay Pride Night. The slogan for the event is, "Hockey is for everyone." Well, that sounds good and seems benign. It's one of those universal, can't go wrong slogans. Hockey's for everyone. Yeah, man, right on. It's for guys, girls, blacks, whites, old folks, young bucks. Hockey is accessible to all. But is that really what they're saying? No, of course not. It means something entirely different. Professional sports leagues have been some of the latest to jump on trendy bandwagons and become part of shaping the culture. The NFL did this with the Colin Kaepernick situation, which they totally kowtowed to. The NBA did it as well by trying to cancel some of the team owners and general managers for saying unsavory things decades ago. Now, while some of those things were certainly reprehensible, it's as though there are people out there whose sole mission it is to undermine those in power, trying to catch them in an error so that their kingdom will fall. That usually works best when the person in power is straight, white, male, preferably old, and preferably Republican. Then it's a superfecta. There's been a movement of sorts to accomplish this. And coupled with that is a general corporatist activism. Coca-Cola became Woca-Cola when we learned that they were training their employees on the virtues of becoming less white. Disney was another big one. They decided to capitulate to the LGBTQ lobby and embrace their agenda rather than the very parents and kids that they serve. This cost them significantly, and you can see that in their stock. But also the removal of Bob Chapek and the reinstatement of Bob Iger, who's trying to keep Disney a lot quieter in political matters. Aunt Jemima pancake syrup and Uncle Ben's rice got major overhauls because, well, we can't have racist syrup and rice. Do you see how corporations are getting on this bandwagon? Someone in their leadership is pushing these agendas. And usually that has to do with virtue signaling or trying to show off how woke and progressive you can actually be. Think of how Nordstrom got rid of all of Ivanka Trump's line of shoes because orange man bad. Now corporations have ESG, or environmental, social, and governance, a mission to evaluate certain sustainability and corporate culture goals. This paves the way for forcing ideas upon employees that may be delightfully trendy, such as touting your low carbon footprint, but may be way out of tune with employees' individual rights and freedom of speech. What is ironic is that in the corporate world, you don't truly have total freedom of speech. Try going to work with a MAGA hat on if you don't believe me. But forced speech is at the other end of that spectrum, where not only can you not stand up for your own beliefs or principles, but you are forced to accept whatever standards the company has set forth. Now, if it's Earth Day and your company wants to have volunteers to go plant trees in the park, hey, no big deal. It's voluntary, and that's not really a value-divisive initiative. But what if the corporation encourages you to attend a rally? What if it partners with Planned Parenthood? What if, like the YMCA in California, it allows men to shower alongside female minors? Now, you could just say, well, quit and go work for someone else. But it may not be quite that easy. But what if the league and the team that you play for decide to have a night supporting gay pride, and you don't believe in supporting it, not because you're bigoted or you hate gay people, but just because in your personal religion and principles, it's not compatible? Well, that exact thing happened recently when the NHL team, the Philadelphia Flyers, had a Pride Night. And one of their players, Ivan Provorov, opted out of the pregame warm-up when players wore rainbow pride jerseys and hockey sticks because he said that it wasn't congruent with his Russian Orthodox faith. Here's how he described it to the press.
And Tort says he respects the decision you made, it's for religious purposes. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I respect everybody, and I respect everybody's choices. My choice is to stay true to myself and my religion. That's all I'm going to say.
How do your religious beliefs?
Like I said, that's all I'm going to comment on that. If you have any hockey questions, I would answer those.
Just
So-
repeat what is your religion?
If I
What
could
is
clarify
your
your
religion?
religion.
Russian Orthodox.
All right, thank you.
Okay, a couple things here. Number one, the first two questions he has asked have nothing to do with hockey. It's about why he skipped the pregame warm-up. When he answers that he respects everyone and he respects their choices, it seems that they don't respect his choices. And he says, that's all I'm going to say. And that nag of a reporter presses him further and hounds him about what his religion is. It was said with such acidity, with such disdain. And when they keep after him, he has to say, I'm happy to answer questions about hockey. Provorov should have never been placed in this position by the press, but leave it to yellow journalists to do just that, trying to goad him. He said his reason is to stay true to himself and to his religion. That's what we all should do. To thine own self be true, as Shakespeare wrote. But you can see there's no respect for that honesty. You always hear, yeah, you go girl, you speak your truth. But when that truth is at odds with trendy wokeism and agendas, then they want you to shut up. Now remember, Ivan told reporters no more questions about skipping the warm-up. And watch what happens.
Ivan, did you have any concern that not participating in warm-ups would affect your status for the game?
Did you not hear what I just said? Can you respect that?
I'm sorry, but media sucks in this country. He's asking for respect and they won't give it to him. He's been polite, courteous, respectful, and even lending his time to answer questions to these reporters. And that's 3 people who can't leave him alone. Reporters also made sure to hound the Flyers coach, John Tortorella.
As I said, Provi did nothing wrong. Just because you don't agree with his decision doesn't mean he did anything wrong. Let me put it to you this way, in my experience. I think it was back in, was it 16, when I was asked a question about the flag, right? Would you sit if the player, that's when Kaepernick was sitting. He wasn't kneeling, he was just sitting at that time. They asked me, if a player sits, what would you do? And what did I say? I said the player would sit the rest of the game. I was wrong. I learned a lot through that experience. My feelings towards any type of protest to the flag during the anthem, it disgusts me. To this day, it disgusts me. It shouldn't be done. Those are my feelings. I can't push those feelings onto someone else. So I was wrong in saying that back then. I didn't realize I was, but as I went through it all, it was, who am I to push my feelings onto someone else? Same situation here. Provi's not out there banging the drum against Pride Night. He quietly went about his business. Him and I had a number of conversations to how we're going to do this. You have the team, you have him, you have all this going on. Talked to lots, went through the whole process there. He felt strongly with his beliefs, and he stayed with it. And this was discussed as prior up to that. But that I'm trying to make a correlation to how I was wrong. You asked me if I was going to bench him. Why would I bench him? Because of a decision he's making on his beliefs and religion? It turned out to be a great night for Pride Night. Players were involved, the building was filled, there was awareness, everything. Provi didn't actively seek out and try to make a stand against it. He just felt he didn't want to take warm-up. I respect him for his decision. I thought the team handled themselves well. I thought our whole organization handled themselves well to make sure we didn't lose sight of that night.
I guess kind of the flip side of that, though, is Pride Night is meant to, show that community that they are welcome. Do you think that not having a unified front, not having everyone out there, that goes against that message?
No, because it was someone's certain strong beliefs. Do you know how much time the organization and the players put into Pride Night? How much they wanted to be involved in that? That is, we forget that because one person in his religion and his beliefs did not want to partake in the 15-minute warm-up. And again, he's not beating the drum. He didn't say a word. He just wanted to go about his business, wanted to play the game, and I think it takes on a life of its own sometimes because someone has a different belief. And like I said, I bring up my situation because to this day, I still feel the same way about that flag. You shouldn't be protesting when the anthem's played and you're in front of that flag. That's about the men and women that are sacrificing their lives to give us our freedoms. That's what I look at. But I have no business to push my type of thought onto players at that particular time. Made a huge mistake back then. That's why I'm kind of putting it with this here. Provy knew he was going to have some blowback here. That's part of the business. That's part of what you go through. But I respect him as far as staying true to himself, as I said the other night. And I respect the organization, how they handle themselves here, because they went about their business, and I thought it was a great night, Pride Night.
Wow. Coach Tortorella hits the nail on the head. It disgusts him that people want to sit or kneel to protest the flag and the anthem. But to punish them for that belief and hurt their playing ability is wrong to do. Recall that Kaepernick was benched before he did the protests, not after. But it's like Coach says, it's like this gets ballooned into something bigger. Provorov did not skate on the ice and burn his Pride jersey. He didn't use slurs on social media before Pride Night. He just opted out of a freaking warm-up. And the media wonders why Torts didn't bench him. Are you kidding me? Now take a look at this response.
The theme from the National Hockey League is hockey is for everyone, okay? The theme is not hockey is for everyone, ... unless you don't believe in gay rights, then do whatever you want. If the National Hockey League is going to do this, if any league is going to do this, do it properly or reevaluate what you're doing. Because there's not a lot of repercussions that I'm seeing from any league. Now, it could change with the NHL. Could change with the NHL. I think you fine the Flyers $1 million for this. I'm not kidding. Figure this out and stop offending people on nights where it's not about that. It's supposed to be about inclusivity. The National Hockey League need to attack this and figure this out. Because what I heard last night was offensive and didn't make any sense. Because, for instance, if that was a military night, okay?
Right.
If anyone in Canada or in the States on a military appreciation night wouldn't wear a jersey pregame, do you have any idea the uproar that would have happened on that? Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea the backlash? Do you have any idea what happened on social media? It's ridiculous.
Okay, so now you can see how tolerant those who claim to be so tolerant really are. Nothing but bile coming out of this guy's mouth. Fine them $1 million? For what? For them respecting a player's right to opt out of a warm-up for religious reasons? And let's talk about this comparison that he makes about military night or veterans night. Number one, the vast majority of players and fans have no objection to honoring military heroes. Now, you could argue that you might not support war and killing, which is exactly what Private Desmond Doss did. He didn't want to use a gun. It was against his religion. So he became a medic and he cited religious reasons. He was court-martialed, but he won his case. But most people take pride in those who fought for their freedom, including the freedom to kneel when the anthem is played, including the freedom to opt out of Pride Night warm-ups. Provorov did not exclude anyone, frankly, other than himself. He excused himself to not draw attention.